Welcome back to TCG Inform. So within the last video, I showed off a purple-yellow Don Quixote Rosinante deck profile for May of 2026, but now we're moving away from One Piece and going back to Yu-Gi-Oh! With a Mannadium deck profile for May of 2026. So let's get right in to the video. So start off with our main deck. We play 3 copies of Mannadium Reamheart, 2 copies of Vsauce Samsara, 2 copies of Vsauce Starfrost, 1 Mannadium Torrid, 3 Mannadium Meek, and 2 Mannadium Fearless for our archetypal monsters. Let's get into the archetypal spells and traps. So for our archetypal spells and traps, we are playing Primeval Planet Pure Rhino. This might not seem like a Mannadium card, but it names Visa Starfrost, so it is classed as archetypal to me anyways. 3 copies of Peaceful Planet Calarium, 3 Mannadium Abaxation, 1 Realm Resonance, 1 Scareclaw Arrival, and 1 Mannadium Reframing. That is all for the archetypal cards. So let's go into our non-engine hand traps, whatever you want to call them. So we'll start off with 2 copies of Droll and Lockbird, 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, 3 copies of Nibiru, the Primal Being, and 2 copies of Effect Veiler for the non-archetypal non-engine monsters. For the non-engine spells and traps, it's 2 copies of Book of Eclipse, 1 called By the Grave, 1 Reinforcement of the Army, and 3 Infinite Impermanence. Now, a note on the main deck, you can play the Scareclaw engine, and in fact in Mannadium, it's physically sort of needed. You can also play Mannadium with Cool Tune for a reason I will show off in a minute while we move on to the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we play 1 Mannadium Prime Heart, 1 Supreme Sword Soul Sovereign Cheng Ying, 1 Rudy Rose Dragon, 1 Trishula Dragon of the Ice Barrier, and here is the card that links Cool Tune and Mannadium together, Vsauce Amritara. The reason for this is because Vsauce Amritara needs a tuner and a light monster. This can be a light tuner or anything like that. So you could use the Cool Tune engine and maybe a light tuner or a light non-tuner from the Mannadium engine, and it links to be able to use the Mannadium stuff and Visa Starfrost with Cool Tune. If you want to try that out, be my guest. Be my guest and tell me the results, because I feel like that's still a good idea. So yeah, 1 Visa Samritara, 1 Cyframe Lord Omega, 1 Adamantipator Risen Dragite, 1 Draco Berserker of the Tenyi, 1 Black Rose Moonlight Dragon, 1 Black Rose Dragon, 1 Mannadium Trisukta, 1 Juloran Tiger King of the Ice Barrier, 1 Mind Castlin, and of course 2 Vicious Astrolaud for the extra deck. Now, this extra deck is I think is pretty versatile, just being able to have a lot at its disposal. The Astrolauds are good. You have a good amount of disruption tools. Since Baron's gone, we've had to make a new way of negating something to make us protected, and that's where Adamantipator Risen Dragite comes in. As for a lower level, you can make Risen Dragite, and you will already have a water monster in the grave with Meek to keep its effect running. Sure, it's not a sort of Omni that, well, I think it was just a pure monster negate Omni or just pure monster negate that Baron had, but it still stops infinite impermanence and stuff like that that can help you out later. And that's really the only way of interruption going into your turn. You could use Drago Berserker of the Tenyi, but that's more of an end board piece going second. Cyframe Lord Omega is a good disruption tool just to annoy your opponent by getting rid of a card in their hand before they even start their turn. You have ways of just setting up yourself like Cheng Ying to give yourself a hand. I don't think you make Prime Heart unless you're going second. So let's say if we're looking at our high levels, I'm sorry I'm doing this explanation, but just to sort of make a sort of explanation. Just if you're going to make the high levels, make these two. Do not make Prime Heart unless you're going second or you have a way of using it. Sorry for that explanation. I just got carried away. But let's move in to our side deck. Our side deck is pretty small. You could, before I start, if you want to add in some stuff, you can add in Ghost Bells or another Effect Veiler to this. But there's a lot of room for this side deck because I couldn't really think of what to put in. 1 Raigeki, 1 Terraforming, 3 Forbidden Droplet, 1 Lightning Storm, and 1 Evenly Matched. As I said, this side deck's pretty small, and we'll leave you guys open. I will be left open to any suggestions for the side deck because I couldn't really think of what to put in for Mannadium. There's not really much tech without using the Scareclaw engine. But this is a pure Mannadium deck, no Scareclaw engine required. But if you're going to play a separate engine with Mannadium, you should play either Scareclaw, the Scareclaw engine, or a Cool Tune package to see if that works. But anyways, that's it for this video, and I'll see y'all in the warp.